All right, Whitney Young football is on the air. I'm Barry Neumann, joined here today with the godfather of Whitney Young football broadcasting, Tony McHale. We are not in midseason form yet. Struggle a little bit getting on air, and it's possible, though we want to get you as much information today as we can about this year's 2024 Whitney Young Dolphins. There's a possibility that our account is going to time us out after 30 minutes. So we're just going to, as opposed to normally what I do, I'm going to try to be succinct and to the point. And so if I'm succinct and to the point, 2024 Whitney Young football kicks off next week, Thursday, for the first game against Corliss. This is Coach Dan Finger's 6th year at the helm of the Dolphins, coming off the most successful season in Dolphins history, a 9-4 season last year where the Dolphins advanced to the Chicago Public League playoffs, championship game against Kenwood. Lost that game, but had just an amazing season, and we'll try to talk to Coach Finger a little bit about that. But looking back at that year, team did things that they had never done before, advanced beyond what they had ever done before. 10 of those seniors graduated, many of those playing at the next level. So also try to touch a little bit on some of your 2024 graduates, 2023 Dolphins who are now playing at the next level or working at the next level. But today we want to try to talk more to Coach Finger, to his both of his coordinators. So Coach Eddie Boucher, offensive coordinator, Coach Connor O'Donnell, defensive coordinator, and some of the senior level players. So I had Coach Finger over here before. They're taking some photos over there. I'm going to talk to him about this season's squad. If we look at the schedule this year, again, starting off with Corliss. Corliss is a team that qualified for state playoffs last year. They were one of the Chicago Public League white teams, so playing in the division below. They won their conference and went to state. So we faced them in a non-conference game. Play Perspectives in Week 2. So if you were with us last year, Perspectives was also a Week 2 game for the Dolphins last year. Big win. Traveled on the road down to Perspectives. This year we'll have them at home. Then we kick off the conference slate. And if we have time, we'll talk about that a little bit more too. So there were some changes in the Chicago Public League in the offseason. 3 teams were promoted up from the white division, and now we have almost like the Big Ten. Now we're in one big amalgamation of 16 red level, high level teams. A couple of those teams will be interesting because although they're not on our schedule this year, they could very well be some long-term rivalries that develop. Lincoln Park back up in red after a couple years down in white. Peyton up in red for the first time ever, I believe. And so the Peyton's a good program, qualified for state a number of times. So I think, again, a good mix. We know the top level of those teams, and we were within that last year. We expect to be there again this year. But you've got the Morgan Parks of the world. Morgan Park advanced to the state quarterfinals last year. Kenwood, as I mentioned, who was the Chicago Public League champion last year. Maybe a little storyline for everybody there. Sing-Q Turner, head coach at Kenwood, left after the season to go back to his alma mater, Simeon. So another team within that red division. So you're going to see Morgan Park, Simeon, Kenwood fill up sort of those traditional teams there. We only have Kenwood, so I'm getting to the schedule here. So Week 3, Johnson, one of the teams that got brought up in the Chicago Public League. Week 4, Lane, Clark, Kenwood, Amundsen, and then we close off the year with games against Westinghouse and Taft. And I'm joined by Coach Eddie Boucher.
Hello, hello.
Coach Eddie, what is this, year 3 at the helm as OC?
Yes, year 3, going into year 3.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about the development of the offense this year. And I think it's fascinating with high school football is that, you guys have to make adjustments. You have to make an adjustment, at the beginning of the year. Last year, you guys made adjustments throughout the course of the year, right? We look back, and your first 5 or 6 games of the year, a couple upper 200-yard passing performances, 3 touchdowns. We're rolling there, then kind of flip the switch, in that first half game went to a run-heavy, used that line, used the Anthony Hoods and the Joseph Claytons of the world, and just sort of pounded your opponents into submission for most of the rest of the year. So give us a preview of this year, because we saw a lot last year. What's it going to look like this year?
Sure. So the good thing about, in terms of talking about adjustments, is that we're bringing in Von Conrad now, junior year as a quarterback, and he has that same ability to run the ball. And we're bringing back 3 of our starting offensive linemen from last year. We're bringing back two of the running backs who also played a big chunk with Luke Yolich and Maxwell Warner. And so, as far as adjustments go, you're definitely still going to see some of that very run-heavy offense that we have going on, some of those QB designed runs, and just kind of leaning on those guys who have been there. The thing that might change is that in Von Conrad we have, he came in as like a true quarterback. With Anthony Hood last year, he was, by far one of the best athletes on the field at any given time. And we just put him on the field and we were like, hey, do this, do that. Vaughn came in kind of as that true quarterback. So, you're going to see some of that pass game open up as well. He's got a little bit of Anthony Hood. He's got a little bit of Bennett Neumann. And so that's great for us because it really opens up what we can do at any given time, depending on what the defense is giving us or anything like that.
Yeah, we kept saying last year, maybe even a little Pat McHale if you want to go back and you want to mix it and put it in the mix. And it gives you a little bit of that run-pass balance that Pat did 3 years ago. Hey, I think you buried the lead a little bit as an offensive line guy, right? Let's talk more about those guys because you've got 3 guys. 2 of them have been 4-year. They'll be 4-year starters. Nick Dale, Juan Cepeda. You got MJ Woods, who's been a starter since day one when he walked in here as a 13-year-old freshman, right? And now he's into his junior year. And you also have some guys that played quite a bit last year. So let's talk more about some of those individual guys and what your expectations are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Nick is at the helm. He, was revealed earlier today. He was voted as a captain. So aside from his play on the field, his overall leadership really suits him well for that center position because he's really the captain of that offensive line. And he's in a really good position to kind of lead that group to big performances this year. Like you said, he's been doing it for 4 years now. He's an extremely intelligent young man, and whatever we throw at him, he's going to pick up. And so he's well suited for that role. He's well suited to lead the guys around him. And then we have Juan Cepeda as well, now a 4th-year start on that offensive line. Really, really violent, physical offensive lineman, which is what you want. He has fun kind of running around, knocking guys off their feet. And then MJ as well, he might be our most technical offensive lineman, and, we've seen that since day one. He's battle-tested. He's looking to take it to that next level this year, and I expect some really, really big performances from him. We have 2 newcomers on the offensive line replacing Bob Nifasimi Opadelli and Jason Perez, and those are some pretty big shoes to fill. But these guys are guys who have been around, who have really picked up the coaching, who have, they've been here since day one, and I've really seen that progress and improvement, and we think they're going to fit in pretty seamlessly in terms of what we're asking them to do. So, left guard, we have Alex Olszewski, Jr., and then right tackle we have Dylan, and he's a junior as well. So those are some new faces, but those are guys who have been around in the off season, been lifting. You can see it on the field. They have what it takes to be very successful. So while there will be some growing pains, the nice thing about offensive line is it's really about unit play. And so there's a really good mix of experienced offensive linemen and then kind of these newer guys who did get some time last year as well. So they're not completely fresh. Like I said, we're really gonna hang our hat behind those guys, and when things get going, those are the guys we're gonna lean on.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I think one of the interesting things with Jason Perez, Bob and Efesimi, those guys, strong players, very smart players. Also, we're giving up 100 pounds a snap against the guys across from them. Now you got Dylan Pericini, and Alex Krzyzewski, who probably are 50 pounds heavier than where each of those guys are. So across the line, you're just bigger this year.
Yep, on average, we're a bit heavier when we step on the scale, which is always a good thing in the game of football. Coach Finger likes to say it. I think he might have gotten this from Coach Millett, but you're either pushing a guy back or you're trying not to get pushed back. And the physics of it all is that the heavier you are, the better. So those are two big, strong guys we're adding to the offensive line.
All right, and we haven't talked receivers. So Quinn Duhan, been around, done a bunch of different things. Probably playing on a leg and a half last year. So you get him back at that position. You've got DeMille, you've got Joseph Gray, who had a bunch of snaps last year. Talk a little bit about that wide receivers group and what you expect out of them.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think I can confidently say in my 3 years calling the offense that this might be the deepest receiver core we have. Like, throughout the summer, we've been going 3, even 4 deep at certain positions. You mentioned Quinn Duhan. Quinn Duhan is a guy we ask to do everything, both offensively, defensively, some special teams. So in order to prepare for that, we were prepping the guys behind him for whatever the case may be. And so, we have a lot of new faces. Joe Gray as well is back. And we're adding Miles Barsma, Rayton Skotmeyer, who's been in the program for quite some time, has shown flashes where we can't keep him off the field, so he's in that rotation. Barry Gordon is really looking like a player on offense and defense as well, where he's going to take a next step and really turn up his game.
Yeah, and Barry was a guy last year who was your starting tight end, catches a touchdown in that first game, gets dinged up in practice, and then Harrison Gossa sort of grabbed that position. But, again, when I was looking at returning starters, I'm like, well, I mean, I got to throw BG3 in there because he's got plenty of reps, of reps on both sides of the ball. So there's a lot of experience there.
And he's looked great all summer. He's, the tight end position is unique in the sense that it's not running routes, and, sometimes we stick him behind that O-line or on the line, and we ask him to block a D lineman or a linebacker, and he really looks the part. So he's really come a long way as well. We're expecting a lot from him. And like you mentioned, all the other guys as well. So we have a really, really deep group. We've been rotating all summer. I anticipate you're going to see a lot of faces at those receiver positions. And same thing goes. You mentioned how we kind of went to that very run heavy offense at the end of last season, and the receivers, they are tasked with blocking, but they're also tasked with running routes and catching the balls, and those kind of looks kind of diminished a bit when we went to that run heavy offense. But I mean, everyone bought in from day one. Like, those guys are out there and they're going to do whatever we ask them to, and you've seen it kind of trickle down to kind of those second and third guys as well. And so I think we're really posed for success. And I think there's going to be more looks now with Vaughn at the helm at QB. So just a really strong overall group.
Yep. And I saw it talked about Barry Lee. You had mentioned your running backs, but let's get to that core too, because you got Jolich, who I think I have a note here, but I mean he was a running back by committee really last year. Saw a lot of time on the field. I looked at the stats. He had multiple games where he was between like 60, 70 yards. Can run between the tackles, but also has a burst. You got Maxwell Warner, who definitely has a burst, and Aaron Champion in the mix as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So, last year, we just had guys in in the running back group where we couldn't keep them off the field, and so we kind of went to that. I called it the three-headed monster last year with Joseph Clayton and Luke and Maxwell, and each of those guys just brings a unique skill set to that position, and I anticipate that being somewhat similar to the approach we take this year, because I imagine it's just going to have to cause defensive coordinators headaches, when they have to prep for multiple guys with multiple skill sets. But at the end of the day, they're all doing the same things we're asking them to do. They similar to tight ends, we're asking them to block. We're asking them to pass protect. We're asking them to catch the ball. We're asking them to run the ball. And it's one of the smartest groups we have on the team. And so really looking forward to seeing those guys have really big breakout years as well.
All right. It's going to be fun to watch. Well, thanks for the preview on it. I think we got Coach Finger heading over here. So
absolutely.
Coach Eddie,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Appreciate your
Awesome.
time. We'll
Yep.
see you out there.
All right.
All right, Coach
All right.
Finger.
Good to
How's
see
it
ya.
going, man?
It's great. It's great. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, you bet. So, a few days away from opening kickoff, your 6th season.
Yeah,
Tony
wow.
and I are kind of debating records here, but I've got you down for 26 wins over the last. He might have you down at 25, but the last year, 9 wins.
Yep.
Chicago Public League championship game. Just tons of momentum coming off of that. Now you got a team where, as opposed to a few years ago where you graduated a great group of seniors last year, 10 seniors, 4 of those guys playing at the next level. But you got a lot of guys that have played a lot of football already. So give us your view of this upcoming season and, thinking through your progression as a coach. How are you coming into this year versus some of the years in the past?
It starts with losing a great group of kids, including, Bennett and then some guys going on to college football. And, it's as a coach, especially at the high school level, your challenge is to rethink your scheme completely because the skill set is going to be so varying between the kids you lost and the kid. We're not recruiting we don't have like in the NFL player personnel departments that are trying to find guys who fit as cogs in a big machine. You got to kind of redesign the machine based around the cogs you have. So, we lose a lot of great players on the field and great leaders off the field. And part of that is guys who had played a ton, Joseph Clayton, Anthony Hood, especially 4-year varsity guys. So that's impossible to replace. So we just got to rethink how we do things. We're excited. We have a lot of guys who played a lot of football. A lot of seniors who are still 4-year varsity guys, which is kind of going to be the spine, the foundation of the entire program. And, we're excited for that. Guys like Nick Dale and Juan Cepeda, 4-year starters on the O-line, that's invaluable. MJ Woods is going to be his 3rd year starting on the O-line.
Yeah.
So if we can block it, we're going to be great no matter who's behind him. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's really exciting. I mean, I feel like as a talking head out here, it's easy to focus on the quarterback position and the running back position, the wide receiver position. You mentioned Bennett and Joseph and Anthony and guys that, were contributors for a long time in the program. I actually find it a little bit refreshing that it's like this offensive line, and it's tougher because they don't have stats like those guys did, right?
Yep.
But when you saw, and I stopped by the 7-on-7 competition, and Nick Dale dominated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just fun to watch him out there.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. He's a guy without football experience before high school, but was still athletic enough and smart enough to earn a starting spot on varsity as a freshman. And I mean, that was without a lot of technique work or really any experience. So to see it all come full circle there, where now, we don't need to see him that much in practice and at these competitions and stuff. And we kind of know what we're getting out of those guys. And, we played our week 0 scrimmage yesterday, and we want our offensive line unit to play a lot together, but our first 3 D linemen, Nick, Juan, and MJ, have been starters on both sides of the ball since day one. We don't need a whole lot I didn't need to see a whole lot. It's kind of like preseason in the NFL where you're like, maybe a drive.
Yeah, we got it. Yep.
And we lose Bob Nafsimi and Opedele and Jason Perez on the O-line. Bob Nafsimi, 2-time All-City guard. Jason, moving on to play college football, who was a great right tackle for us the past 2 years. And they're tough to replace, but it's nice to have really experienced and good players, not just experienced, but very good players like Juan, Nick, and MJ returning to help usher in those new guys. So.
Yeah, I was thinking about those guys and like the personalities as well, and clearly, Baba, Jason, Joseph, Anthony, Ben, all those guys that have been around, Harrison, they brought some personality, and each team develops a personality. You have a feel for this group and how, not necessarily to compare it to those past group, but each what does this look like? What do you think that fans watching on Friday nights, Saturdays are going to see?
Well, it's interesting because from 14 to 18 is such a transformative period, and the kids really change year in and year out. Like, they are totally different kids. And one thing that the group that we just graduated had was we had very few seniors their junior year. So a lot of them were kind of already seniors before they were ready to be, because we only had 2 seniors that year. So, if somebody had to speak, we get breakdowns at practice. Somebody leads these position rooms. There's a lot of juniors. So they were seniors in kind of their roles before they were actually 17-year-old seniors in high school. And I think that showed in how we kind of played in close game situations and stuff that year, their junior year. And then this year it really showed how experienced they were and how ready they were to be leaders. And one transition that happens with a lot of guys is they see that ticking clock on their high school football careers, and they don't stand for the horseplay and the BS and some of the stuff that you'll engage in maybe as a younger teenager as much when they're older. And Baba Nifsimi and Nick Dale Nick was our center, Baba was our left guard last year, and they're both all city guys, first team, really good players. And those guys would be barking at each other at practice about who was right schematically and who was wrong. And I think they were probably about 50-50 who was right and who was wrong. And they're very good friends. But Baba would be on Nick. And, I think a lot. I talk to the seniors every year, and we just voted captains and talk a lot about a quote from Nick Saban. And he says, if you want to make everybody happy, sell ice cream. If you want to be a leader, be prepared to make people unhappy. And, I think it's been an interesting transition. The 3 captains, the guys who received the most votes were Nick, Dale, Luke Yolich, and Quinn Duhan kind of separate themselves. But we had, I think, 17 guys receive votes, and there's a lot of leaders on this team. But those 3 guys now have to go from leading with their example, and all 3 of them have done for 4 years, for the previous 3 years, I should say, and it has to come first. Example, your words mean nothing if the example isn't there, and those guys have led by example. But now it's time where they got to lead with their voice too, and it's not just picking guys up and being positive and being friends with everybody on the team, because they're also 3 of the most likable kids on the team. They also got to be the bad guy sometimes, and they got to have confrontational conversations with teammates that coaches can't have, because it means more coming from this friend who expects a lot from you. And so it's been cool to see those 3 guys transition into that, and then other guys too just embrace, like, hey, I'm going to show you I want to achieve what this team is capable of achieving with my actions, but I'm also going to get on you if you're holding us back, because I've seen that happen a couple times in practice this summer, and nobody likes doing that. As adults, we don't like those kind of conversations. It's really tough when you're 16, 17 years old, but it's cool to see the maturation and the commitment and the buy-in in that way. So in terms of personality, we're not going to get anybody who's probably as absolutely nasty on the field as Baba was. I think that's sort of as a short man myself, there's a short man complex there where
we had a whole bunch of that going on last year, right? I mean, throw Clayton in on that too.
Exactly.
I mean, you guys are big in my heart, big on the field,
big
but
on the stat sheet. There's a
the
chip on the
measuring
shoulder.
stick.
Yes, there's a chip on the shoulder. I was the same way. I was, towed that line of clean and dirty play as a player, just because I felt I had to do that, and I think we're going to see less of that this year, and more just picking guys up after you knock them down after the whistle, which is totally fine. And it'll be fun to see that personality continue to sort of develop as we just announced the captains today, and so when you get that responsibility thrust on you, we often see a little change in personality as well, where, oh wow, that's how my teammates think of me. So now it's time for me to sort of step up to the plate like that. So.
So one thing, and you and I had exchanged some texts on this, and I do want to bring it up because it's notable at this time of the year, and then we'll get beyond it. But we got a couple guys that left the program through transfers. One of those being Nasir Rankin, who was a big part of both the offense and defense last year, and a guy who's receiving a whole bunch of D1 Power 5 offers right now. Rico Antonio D'Alessandro.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry about that.
Rico.
Sorry, Rico. My bad. Who played a lot more as a freshman, got dinged up last year. But maybe just a word on that. I mean, it's the reality of high school, college football that people are dealing with.
Yeah, Whitney Young is a unique place. It is an incubator in terms of competition and challenge, and that comes academically, athletically, Socially, I mean, you're dealing with kids from all over the city. You're taking public transportation to and from school. All this stuff. It's not for everybody. I think it's for a lot more kids than probably they think. As grade schoolers, kids probably think I can never handle it when young. More of them can than they think. But Naz and Rico were great for us the past 2 years. Are awesome kids. They're going to do really, really well at their new spots. But they and their families decided that different places were best for them. And as far as I'm concerned, once you put on a Whitney Young Dolphin football uniform, I love you for the rest of your life. I mean, there's a lot of people in this building and the Whitney Young community who don't have the courage to come out for football and to practice the way these guys do. And everybody in our locker room feels the same way. They respect the decision. But, we don't have to like it. We don't have to do anything. But we'll always be rooting for those guys, and we know they're going to do really, really well at their different schools. And we're going to be rooting for them just as hard as we were when they were wearing a Dolphin uniform. But we do lose. They're great players. We lose guys who were going to be big pieces for us this year. But it's exciting because we've gotten to see all summer guys step up, and I think we have a lot of really good players. I think we have.
Absolutely.
I think we've got some more D1 guys, and it was nice to see. College coaches recognize our program and acknowledge guys, and with the offers for Naz and some of the unofficial invites and stuff like that for Rico, and that attention lifts all boats for us, right? Coaches are watching all our games. They're watching these live streams. They're watching, they're responding to me and inviting our guys to different stuff. And now, we just got our other guy, Malik Amos, who's playing at USC now. We got 2 Big Ten guys now. So it's exciting to see it. And we're going to miss those guys. I think I got a message from both their pops today. So, I stay in touch and all that, and anything they need, they know that I'll drop everything and do it. But, and best of luck to them. But, we're kind of moving on and we're ready to roll.
Yep. So let's talk about schedule this year. Maybe good for all of us. We don't have to play Hope the first game of the year. No. I mean, it'll be it's sort of in the same line of like Naz and Rico. I love Hope Academy.
Yes.
I love to watch what they're doing and read their scores. I don't necessarily like to show up at their place week 1. I would be okay to show up maybe week 9. That would be great.
Yes.
I think they have somebody, don't they have like Morgan Park on their schedule?
Simeon
week
week 2,
schedule.
and I think they have Wilmington, who's Class
great.
2A state power.
But let's talk about us.
1.
So we start out, we've got Corliss to start with and Perspectives as our non-conference games.
Yep.
And then we roll into a conference schedule that to me, and I like, who cares what I think? But I think it's kind of fun. Right? I think it's a fun schedule because there are going to be a lot of competitive games on that schedule. A lot of what are already some rivalries with the Tafts and Lanes of the world. I think facing Amundsen and seeing what that program has done will be really interesting, and also getting to see Kenwood again, and at a spot in the schedule where we get a little, we've got some games under our belt to go in and face them. So that's my view. It's maybe an uneducated view.
No. I think when the schedule came out, we liked it in terms of dates and opponents and how everything lined up, and your crossover matchups. We're not down at Gately too often, which is nice for our bus payments and our scheduling, and our parents who like to come to the games, and so. We definitely like that. We start with 2 CPS white tier teams who are top of that tier. Good teams there. So, we that was intentional. We want to play. We understand sort of our role in the CPS tiers and want to give white teams the opportunity to play red teams and want to expose our guys to different styles of play. We don't see. In the top tier, you don't see too many variances in the offenses and the defenses. It's a lot of spread. But you get down to the white tier and you get more triple option. You get, your single wing. You get your stuff like that. And I like that earlier in the year because we get all summer to kind of slowly install it. And while we're still working on that, defending the spread and all that stuff. And so we just get it out of the way real quick because come playoff time, that's where you see those freaky offenses and you get a lot more variance in it than you will in the top CPS tier. So some good teams we play against. Our cluster, I guess they call it, is always going to be a battle. Taft, Westinghouse, Clark, and us. And those are, 3 hard-nosed teams, physical teams. So you get those in the meaty part of your season. You're going to have some guys banged up after that, and but it's a schedule where we came out and we're feeling good. You know, we expect this group to win a lot of football games, and this is Whitney Young. We expect to win whatever we do. But you know, you schedule Hope, and they're state 1A semifinalist. You know, that's going to be a tough one, right? And Morgan Park's been sort of the premier CPS team the past few years. You get them week 3, like, you know, that's going to be 2 tough games in your first 3 games. And, you know, you want to get out of there healthy. You want to get out of there with good scores and competitive scores. And but understand that, you know, we're still building this thing. And, like, you know, a state title may not be on the horizon this year, but we should expect to win each game. And when I think that was a big turning point for us last year was coming out of there going, we should expect to compete better.
Yeah.
Like happy with, you know, how we stopped the run against Morgan Park or whatever. But, like, none of the kids were, like, celebrating, you know, and it's like we should expect to be better, and that kind of a flip switched. Here's what it's going to take, you know.
And I was actually going to say exactly that. It was second half of Morgan Park, and even talking to some of the guys off the team, when they look back at that, I mean, they said they're like, we should have won that game, right?
Yeah.
We didn't. And no, football is tough, right? You get some turnovers, you get some things that don't go your way to start with. But that was where, from that moment on, that team, and I think that team believed in itself the entire year. They knew that the first couple of weeks, to the point where there were going to be some challenges in there, and then it was like, all right, we weathered that storm, and now game on. And you saw a lot of I'm sure all of you were along for the ride. It was an amazing ride. It was an awesome ride.
If you're watching this, I have a feeling you caught at least a bit of last season.
So good. I think let's see if we have. I think we have Coach OD over there. Hey Tony, we're gonna see if we can get Coach OD. We've talked offense. I'm gonna. Hey Tony, can you get Coach OD? Maybe as he's coming over here, you talked about the 3 captains. Maybe give me a minute on. We talked a lot about Nick. Let's talk about Luke for a minute and Quinn for a minute, and what because those guys they're on the field every single play of the game.
Huge
contributors.
They, Luke was a all-conference linebacker last year, 130 plus tackles in the 13. He only played 12 games last year, so just a lot of tackles. Missed his sophomore year after breaking his collarbone. Most of his sophomore year, he played the first 2 games, and then he was in all-conference safety as a freshman. So just really experienced. He's going to start at running back and linebacker for us. He's an all-city shortstop. He's just a kid who has never shied away from anything ever. I think he just, his parents are CPS teachers. I think he's the youngest of, I'm not sure how many, 4 or 5. He just works his butt off. He loves physicality, and it shows up in how he plays. This year, he's faster than he's ever been, and I think it's going to show both making plays in the backfield as a defensive player, and then those breakaway runs. I think he's really going to stretch the field for us there, and we're excited for him. He's getting some recruiting attention and all that stuff. As well for both baseball and football, which is sort of what he's been working towards.
He's a man.
Yes.
Like when you there's an armful.
The armor is there. Yeah, it was not
awesome.
There as a 9th grader, and it was there sort of last year. I thought it was there last year, and then you see him now, and you're like, wow, okay. And then Quinn, 4-year varsity guy as well. Started as a safety as a sophomore and last year, and as an F. We're going to get him the ball in a lot of creative ways. He's the most cerebral player on our team. Never played football before high school, but we're asking him how he wants routes run now. We're asking him when he wants to rotate out of a coverage disguise now. He understands it so well that he's just going to be a great leader for us, and we're really excited to have him back and for a whole nother year. So.
He's got that Akron DNA.
That's right. He's Akron tough. He's got a bit of a short man thing too. So does Luke, as a matter of fact. Those guys are physical players for not being super, super tall. So we're excited to have them back and have them leading us for the season.
All right, Coach. Super excited for this year.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, guys.
We got Coach O'Donnell come over here. We'll talk
Sounds
a little
good.
bit of defense.
A little defense here. All right. Go Dolphins.
Go Dolphins. Coach Connor O'Donnell.
How's it going?
It's going all right. Great to see you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Pulled up some stats from last year. Defense. It was the name of the game, man. 4 shutouts. Gave up 208 points on the year, 16 points per game. Turnover margin was huge, so 12 interceptions, 3 of those pick sixes, 11 fumble recoveries, so I think we were plus 10 on the year. Your first year as a D coordinator, you brought in a little bit of a different system to start with. So let's maybe talk scheme, what you're thinking about this year, and then let's get into some of your individual guys.
Yeah, so I mean, speaking of the scheme, Coach Finger was really the one, convinced me that we should go to a 3-4. Before that, we were, 4 down front, and obviously, like you had the stats, it really worked out. So, really got to credit the success last year to the guys, right? So the mentality last year and this year is players, not plays, right? So I know I was joking with your son last year, even this summer, right? My play card's like almost the size of no card, right? So it's really, getting those guys in the right spots. So, I mean, going from last year to this year, scheme-wise, to your question, not much has changed, right? A few things here and there. It's, really the devil's in the details of, thinking of, like, the linebackers. Like, there's a small adjustment where they're going in, their spot drops, like dropping in coverage, right? We have smaller rules of this guy does this, you're doing this, right? So it's just things like that, and it really helps, going year 2 into a scheme that guys really know where they're going, right? And so I remember summer camp, first couple weeks last year, it was, an adjustment for guys learning new position, new scheme. And this year, really, the older varsity guys are really jumping into it, which is exciting. So the last couple weeks of summer camp, trying to throw in just a couple new things. Like I said, like anytime we try to throw into like a new play on defense, really our philosophy is how can we incorporate this play against any formation. So we had our, scrimmage yesterday, for example. So they came out in quads, right? So they had 4 receivers on one side, and we've only repped it a few times, but we had to make an adjustment. It wasn't perfect, but so the defense is more about adjusting to that, right? So the 3-4 is very flexible. You can send guys from different directions. If a team comes out in a couple different formations, they motion, the passing strength to a certain side, we can adjust accordingly. So it's been really cool to see the guys, their second year in the system, really picking up quickly, seeing it fast, and then incorporating new guys, which is good too.
Yeah, no, that's and again, like we talked on the offensive side, and I feel like if Alex Dale and Rodney Dale are watching this, we're going to give Nick a lot of screen time today, so you probably have to talk him down when he gets home. But it starts up front with those 3 guys, Nick in the middle, Juan, MJ, and I'm sure like Dylan and Alex playing and on that as well.
Logan, Adrian, there's a lot of guys.
Yeah, so you've got a very deep, and you've been able to rotate, which is good because those guys are going both ways. So a lot of those guys saw time last year. So Dylan and Alex saw a lot of time last year. But Nick made a lot of plays, and a lot of times you think in a 3-4, those linemen, I mean, their responsibility is taking up a bunch of those offensive linemen and letting the Yolich and Grays and Claytons of the world stack up their tackle totals. But Nick Dale put a lot of pressure up the middle on quarterbacks and running backs last year.
Yeah, I mean, you said exactly right. I mean, it took a few weeks last year for the D linemen. And guys always want to buy in, but actually seeing it, like how you play with 3 D linemen, they got to soak up those double teams. And like you said, like, it's a very tough, role on first and second down, right? Mostly running downs. They're getting 2 blockers most of the time. Those guys are still making plays, right? And so a big emphasis this year is using their hands. Like I remember I had a really good conversation before summer camp with MJ, right? Even like, he's very mature, for his age. He has been as a football player in many aspects, and even he recognized the importance of, knowing the situation, knowing his key, using his hands. And the same thing like you said with Nick. Like yesterday, I think, in our little scrimmage, the second and third play, like, he just, bull rushed to center essentially. So when those guys are having a good day, it makes the guys behind them, their job a lot easier.
Yeah, yep, exactly. And so let's talk about some of those guys behind them. Well, let's start in the middle. So Yolich and Gray are your middle linebackers. Yep. Yolich was a guy who started the year at safety last year, but then after Joseph Gray got dinged up in the first game, came in and really that was a home for him, man. He looks like a middle linebacker.
Yeah, no, he really does. And so, it's a testament to those guys being flexible, right? And so he's seen it very well, especially this summer. It's good to see, last year Joseph Clayton, after first couple weeks, like he's really reading his keys, right? So those guys are really reading the guards. And so now you see Luke at the beginning of this year, like he's seeing it very well. Like last year, we tell the guys, like, especially those inside linebackers, you're running back on the outside of the ball, right? You don't have the ball in your hand, right? Most of the time you see a gap, you hit it. And Luke, being a running back, that came pretty natural to him. But, when you throw pulling guards into the mix, some counter stuff, guys can get, tricked, or they can slip up their responsibilities. And Luke this summer, he definitely demonstrated he can do that. So, and then Joe Gray, right, plugging him back in. I'm excited to see him. He's going to be in the will linebacker position, right, in the boundary. So we're asking a little bit more of him coverage-wise this year. He's so fast, right? And so his ability to not only come up and play the run, but, cover a lot of distance. And that goes with Luke too, right?
Yeah.
So those guys, we expect to see a lot of good things from them this year.
Yeah, Joe was a guy last year, Joseph Gray, that, like, during the second half of the year just kept making plays, special teams plays. Then when he was in on defense, it was like, there he is again.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's fun to see that. So outside guys, BG3, Aaron Champion, right? So BG3, he's been in that position for a while, made a bunch of splash plays last year. Aaron Champion, a bunch of reps as well last year. And I remember a couple of plays, and one specifically at Taft. Like, that dude has speed. So talk about those two guys.
Yeah, I mean, just like what I said earlier, especially that position, they probably have some of the hardest keys of what's going on, right? They're run-first players, but, when they're getting a pass read, they have a couple different things they have to think about and get themselves in the right position. And those two guys, like, being the second year in the system, like, they really, have been leaders with outside linebackers, right? And so they're seeing it really well. And, last year, speaking of outside linebackers, right, we thought we had different people starting, and then obviously changed very quickly. And, Jason made probably, I would say, arguably the biggest leap last year, like in a great way. And so then Barry and Aaron, getting reps, right? A lot of guys, when they're getting varsity reps, the next year they're going to make a big jump. And so they're looking fast, playing confident. So I'm really excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, and I'm actually sort of remiss we're this far in the broadcast. We're talking about these different positions, and I think I've only mentioned his name once, and that's Harrison Gassa, who played that outside role last year and is playing at Illinois.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's a Big Ten guy.
Yeah,
Got noticed.
Yeah,
So
excited.
awesome. Shout out to you, Harrison, on that. Defensive backfield. Quinn Duhan's been a top 1-2 tackler the last 3 years in this team. You got him leading the safety group. You got Maxwell Warner, superstar athlete at one of the corners. Talk about that overall defensive backfield.
Yeah, I mean, since I've, been fortunate enough to join the program, like, it was pretty obvious, like, day one that Quinn, like, his football knowledge and his ability to be a sponge and be very coachable, and then not only take in what he's learning, but helping his guys out. Like, both sides of the ball, especially defensively, being a safety, right? He's the first guy that's calling out formation. A lot of times our defense has to make a lot of adjustments based on formation, and I mean he's almost spot on almost every time. And so he's invaluable back there, not just with his mind, but like you said, coming up and making tackles. He had a couple of interceptions last year. Hopefully we see this, the same, maybe a little improvement on the stat sheet, but I mean he's going to be there. He does a lot of stuff off the stat sheet. It's going to help, the safety on the other side. We're going to see a little bit of Solomon Bradley.
Yeah.
Definitely, safety, but you kind of think of him as a boundary safety, where it's a safety that's just, or a linebacker that's like 10 yards off the ball, right? So Quinn's going to help him out, get in the right spot, because he can come down and make a play.
Solomon, the biggest hit of our entire season last year was Solo as a place kicker knocking a kid 3 weeks into the past.
Yeah, you got to love to see that. And that play specifically, we're like, okay, we got to put this guy in a spot to make, come down and make some plays in the run game. And then you're going to see some of Sheldon Williams, Andrew Latham, has done a good job filling the role, and then Benedict Ross. I think it's just, talking about DBs, like I think kind of encapsulates a lot what's going on with this team this year is that we're pretty deep, right? So we got a lot of guys that we can trust in their ability to play and, not only know the system, but go out there and, make a play for us. And, so especially the DBs and the safeties, a lot of guys we can trust. Going to the corners, like you said, Max is just a great athlete, right? He's got the biggest smile in the room. He's got the biggest laugh. But he's also, got some of the fastest wheels.
Yeah.
So, the great thing about a 3-4 defense, if you can trust that boundary corner and kind of lock that guy up, it kind of frees up Solomon and that boundary safety to be a little more free and make a play. So hopefully we can see that from Max. A big surprise this year, in a good way, is Miles Barsma. Really solidified himself not only on offense but also playing the field corner. pretty smooth out there. Has been picking up pretty quickly. So I'm excited to see, what he's got in store for us too.
All right, and like last year, you got Javon Hobbs checked in as a basketball player, hadn't played football before, and was a starting corner. So wanted to mention Javon as well. We talked a lot about the other graduating seniors. You got John Sellers this year checking in. Where does he fit in on your side of the ball?
So outside linebacker, right? And so he kind of has that frame. Last year we had some guys that had a similar frame, but couldn't quite see the position mentally as well or physically, but John's really got the physical aspect. Like first time, he put on pads. I think there was one rep where he was kind of tied up with somebody, but then once, he kind of understood how physical the game is, like, kid you not, the second or third rep, like, he was pancaking guys. So, like, he's not afraid of contact, even though first year playing football. So if we can get him the next few weeks to kind of see the game, in the scheme itself and read his keys, like, he's going to be really, really dependable outside linebacker for us, for sure.
All right. Well, very good. Thanks, Coach O.D.
Yeah, of course.
Looking forward to it this year. We got some of our players, some of our seniors lined up over here, so we'll get them in. And
got some characters coming your way.
We do have some characters. So character number 1, I believe, is going to be recently elected captain of the 2024 Dolphins.
Yeah, feels good.
Nicola Dale, my man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you. Senior, can you believe it, man?
Yeah, it's crazy. It doesn't feel like it's been 4 years. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels like yesterday I was out there getting pancaked by Tommy doing combat. Like it's crazy. The time flies really fast. Like they tell you about it and you're like, oh, I don't know what they're talking about. But then like when you get a senior year, it's like it
Coach Finger was talking about how the clock ticks, and I think it ticks like at 3 times the speed when you're a senior.
Yeah.
So coming into this year, what are your thoughts? And because you're on the field all the time, talk a little bit about the offensive side of the ball. I saw some of your drills over at Hope 7-on-7. Looked like you were having your way with people. A center. Tell us a little bit more about that position, because it's not something that's easy for us to see from the sidelines, from the live stream.
Well, like if you're talking about, like, it's very hard to see me usually. In all the photos, I'm usually in the background, which it's okay though. But like center, it's an important job. But like, I gotta get the ball back there, get it to the quarterback, let them make their plays, let the running backs make their plays. And I just gotta go block, right? But on offensively, I think this is the year we have the most athletes on our team. Like Coach was talking about, we have like 5 or 10 people running over 20 miles per hour. It's 10 people running over 20 miles per hour. You got Maxwell running like 22 miles per hour. It's like crazy stuff. Like that's college numbers out there. So. Yeah. I think this is the year we have the most athletes, but I think we don't have a lot of guys with so much experience this year. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just going to be, if we stay locked in, stay focused, and prepared for the games, I think we'll do really good.
Yeah, and that's, again, we're going to talk to a few of you guys off the offensive line. I mean, it's for you, too. You're going to play alongside Juan Cepeda for your 4th year, alongside MJ for his 3rd year, and Dylan and Alex, guys that got a bunch of reps last year. To me, as a fan, if you didn't know that, I'm a fan. There's sort of when you wake up on game day, I think there's a bit of calm knowing that we have this offensive line and we're going to be able to control that trench.
I think it was funny because I was like last year I was going back looking at the film from my freshman year when I was offensive line. You just see Pat McHale with about probably 2 seconds, and that was just how long it took the D line to run back there at him. Like we were really bad, and I think we have a lot. This is the biggest offensive line we've ever had. So we have a whole bunch of big guys, and I think it's just getting them, make sure they all know the plays and staying locked in and stuff. And if we do that, we're going to dominate every team's defensive line for sure.
All right, so then let's flip the defense, because I was also talking to Coach O.D., and it's like your role on this defense, and a lot of times the D-line is not like the headliner either in a 3-4, but you made a bunch of plays last year. I think your tackles for losses were 9 or 10 on the year, and you were constantly putting pressure up the middle. How do you see defense this year as a senior?
I think defense this year, I think last year first couple games, like, when we played Hope or Morgan Park, we struggled a little bit. But I think it was just getting into the groove of it. And now we've done this for a year. Everyone who's on the team playing defense right now has played at least 1 year of this defense. So I think that I really like the defense we have set up. And it makes it a little hard for the D-line to make plays. But, like, I think we got some good guys. Usually I'm the one getting double teamed, so I open it up for my other fellas out there to go make some plays.
So when we see you free, that's because you've throwing
yeah,
aside
usually,
2 guys.
or the offensive line decides they don't want to block me for some reason. So, but yeah, it's usually I make plays. I get one arm on the guy and then I take him down, right? But it's whenever there's open there, I'm there to make the tackle, right?
All right.
But yeah, I really like our defense this year, and I have a big feeling we're gonna make a lot of plays on defense this year.
Okay, so good. We talk football. Maybe I'll put you on the spot here. How are the college preparations going? Where are you in that? Rodney? How's he doing?
I was struggling a little bit. I finished most of my Common App, but I just got to work on my personal statement. It's really hard writing it. I don't know what to talk about. But I plan on EDing to Northwestern. That's the goal.
All right.
Northwestern.
We know somebody we know a couple guys that went
yeah.
there. The guy that's there right now, and maybe a guy that went there in the past.
Yeah. So
I'll put in a good word for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I want to go with Northwestern.
And then what's your thought? And also putting you back on the spot, football at the next level. Is it something that you're thinking about?
I want to, but like at the same time, it's a lot of work. So it's just like I don't know, like getting all the academics done because Northwestern's a very high academic school. So getting high academics, I want to go into industrial engineering. So doing that and then football is going to be really hard to balance. So
these Dale kids were raised right.
Figuring that out is going to be a little struggle, but ideally it's either football or rugby. So
that's what I was going to say. So
yeah.
Alex is playing rugby up at Northwestern, and so give us a quick snapshot. What'd you do this summer?
I went back to Serbia again to see my grandparents. This time not during football, which was nice. I did. I worked in my mom's lab, and I worked at Rush for an internship. That was nice. Paid the big bucks for that. That was my bank account appreciated that. Not football, a lot of football.
Yep.
But that was about it. Just kind of enjoying life, going to the pool a lot.
All right, man. Well, I'm sure
Yeah.
you look good at the pool. You look good here.
Of course.
Nick?
Thank you.
Awesome, man. Great to see you. We'll see you out on the field on Thursday.
For
We're going to bring around one of your offensive linemen, defensive lineman mates, fellow senior, Juan Buster Cepeda. Buster, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Come on in here. Senior. Can you believe it?
No, I cannot. It's crazy. I remember freshman year it was like yesterday. It's wild.
Yep, it goes fast. So this is like one of these questions of like, hey, what would Juan Cepeda as a senior tell Juan Cepeda as a freshman?
Focus on school. Focus on school 100%. There was a point in time where I was just not focused at all, and it affected not only me but the team my sophomore year, and I really just shouldn't have let that happen at all. And
okay.
If I can go back in time and tell myself something, it would be focus on school.
All right.
Take it more seriously.
Those are good words of wisdom, and words of wisdom that we can probably tell a bunch of those kids there to do that. So you've been a starter offensive line since day one in here.
Yeah.
Are you staying at guard or you moving out to tackle this year?
They had me at guard.
Okay.
Depending on how Dylan plays, I might move to tackle, but I'm assuming he's gonna do good. I trust him, and I'm gonna stay put at guard.
All right. What's it like in the trenches?
Man, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Is there? We always imagine that there's a little bit of talking that goes on.
A little bit, but it's never rude. It's never rude. It's always like some dumb, some real dumb. It's I'm not eat pancakes after this, or I'll go play video games after this game, or something like that. It's stupid.
What are some of the favorite schools that you have to play against?
I'm really excited to play against Kenwood again.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten bigger and stronger and faster since last year, and last year I was messing some of those D linemen up. I'm excited to do it again this year.
All right.
I also want to play Taft again. I'm excited to play Taft again. I'm excited for Amundsen because we haven't played Amundsen yet.
Yeah, and I think both of those schools, I mentioned about how the CPS schedule is, and it's great to have those rivalries. And I think Amundsen is a team that came up to the red level, and they're a good program.
Yeah.
There's some big kids.
100%.
They run some. I mean, they like to try to run it down people's throats. So that'll be a fun game. And then I think Taft will be fascinating because we took it to them twice hard last year, right? And that's a great program with big guys, tough guys, guys that play D1, D2, D3. So and that'll be a senior night game. Hopefully it will be just a prep game into state and city playoff type things. But it'll be interesting to get down against those guys.
Oh yeah, I'm more than excited. I can't even explain it.
All right. Tell me a little one last question. I mean, again, coming into your senior year, Thinking back on, I talked to Coach Finger about the personalities of each of these teams, right? And so you've come up where, as a freshman, you're the new guy on the team. You got some guys that are 3 years older than you that are heading off to college. How do you feel, like, how does this team, and maybe you compare it or just talk about this team itself of, like, what the personality is and how you develop that as a player, because now you're the senior. Now you're the old guy.
Recently, I've been trying my hardest to help out freshmen with their steps and like anything like it's like a mental error, like if they're feeling tired or if they're like unable to push themselves. I'm always there to like help them push. I feel like what I needed my freshman year was someone guiding me, because I got thrown in with the Wolves like my freshman year, and
Yep.
I'm happy I'm able to be that one person for these freshmen, just like help them and like have them figure out the grounds and stuff. I'm really happy I'm able to do that for these freshmen.
Well, that's good, and we're happy you're doing that for them.
Yeah.
So, my friend, I'm looking forward to your senior year.
Me too.
Great to talk to you today, and we'll see you out on the field on Thursday.
All right.
All right.
Go
Thanks,
Quinn.
Juan. Will DeMille, because he's wearing 5. What is going on here? This is messing me up. Come on over here a little bit.
They lost the number 1 jersey because the guy who wore it last year is still at his house or something, but they're gonna get it back before the season.
Okay, so we're not going 5. Just 5 for the photo shoot.
I'm not stealing Quinn's number. I wouldn't do
Okay,
that.
all right, yeah, because then I'd have to come up with new nicknames. I mean, I got Mach 5
I can't
and I
take
got
away
Will the
Mach
Thrill.
5, yeah.
Yep. All right, so Will DeMille, dude, you got the wheels. You've been on the field a bunch, coming into your senior year. Tell us what your expectations are for the year, and what are some of the things that you want to accomplish?
I'm expecting for the team. I hope we go far again. I think we have a lot of athletes, and we're figuring out the defense. It's a pretty simple, like, not too many plays, but it's just you got to know what to do, and you can adapt the plays based on what the offense aligns in. And I think our defense has been playing so well all summer, all year. I think I'm really excited about that. I think our offense has been doing great things recently too. I'm just excited. I think especially with like some easier games to start the season, like maybe we get little warm-up games, figure everything out, and I think we'll be contending this year. And then for me, I've been on the field a little bit, but mostly like doing blocking stuff, and I'm excited about getting more opportunities for catches, but also getting big blocks on like screens. I'm excited to just like be out there, have a good time.
Yeah, and I think Coach Eddie, Coach Finger both mentioned that a bit about like as the wide receiver core, and you had those blocks last year. You had a couple big plays last year. There's some trick plays that you were involved in one way, shape, or form. But yeah, it's and in just the way the offense. It will be interesting as fans to watch the evolution, because last year we were this passing offense that went into this wildcat run game, and as a wide receiver, your role definitely changes in each of those things.
Yeah. I think I'm excited this year. We're getting back to throwing the ball a little bit, but our running game, I think, is going to be really strong. I think we got 2 really experienced, really good running backs. I think with Luke and Max and his speed back there, I think like some screen games are going to be huge for us. I think I'm excited to block for them. You know what I mean? I'm excited to make some big plays however I can.
Well, Will DeMille, the thrill, the third here is calling screen game. I often call for a screen. I don't know if Coach Finger or Coach Eddie ever hear me, so I want that to happen this year, right? Get out there. And then, I think that also the opportunity for like the balanced offense can open it up for a guy like you, right? So fun to see it. I asked some of these other guys, putting everybody on the spot. College prep, how's it going?
It's going great. I just finished my essays. I'm about to apply to 13 schools.
Yeah,
finally.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
This is what we do. DeMille family is all organized. Way to go, Kathy. Way to get this
My
guy on
mom's
the
been
ball.
on me about it, yeah.
As well you should. So, okay, well, we'll look forward to hearing more of that. Will, great to see you, man.
Good to see you, too.
All right.
Who should I grab?
Whoever wants to come on over. Damien. All right, head on. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Don't pull us out. So we're still on air, right? We think. All right, Damien, slide over a little bit this way. All right, so Damian Mendez, this is your 4th year in the program, right?
Yeah.
So a couple years on JV, bunch of special team stuff last year. Coming into your senior year, what are your expectations? What are some of the things that you want to try to accomplish?
I definitely want to be on more special teams and hopefully gain a starting rotation somewhere within the inside linebacker group. I did experience a setback last week. I actually sprained my knee, so I've been out for a bit. Probably gonna miss the first game, but I'm hoping to come back strong and come back into week 2 ready to play.
Okay, well that's good. I hope to have you back there. Tell us about, like, because you've been with this program. What's it been like? Yeah, and I asked Juan before what he would tell his freshman year self. I could ask you that question again, but just tell us, like, sort of the progression over the years, because it's been a very different program, just based on who the seniors are, and now you're one of those seniors. So think back and tell us some of the highlights or some of the differences that you might see this year from some of the past years.
Yes. I would mainly tell my younger self, like, it's a very progressive program, right? You're not going to shoot straight to the top, and it's a family, right? So you're building off of everyone next to you, and make sure to help those around you, because it's not just you succeeding. You want everyone to succeed, and that's how you build a championship team. I'm hoping that this year we're coming off of a loss from the city championship. I'm hoping we could get back there and win it this time. We were so close, and we got our rematch against them mid-season, so.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We talked about that a couple times. Just like Kenwood on the schedule, I think week 4, which is kind of nice. I mean, last year we faced Hope early on, Morgan Park early on. We got some games where we can kind of figure some things out. Going against Kenwood, and Kenwood will be interesting. I didn't have a chance to ask Coach Finger, but their head coach left. They have a couple guys. They had 2 guys going off, one to Michigan, one to Miami. So it'll be interesting to see what their club looks like this year. But yeah, it'll be fun to be out there.
Yeah.
Fun to put the pads on. Are you ready to hit some people?
Yes, I'm ready for that game. I had so much fun in the last one. We had the championship right there, and we just barely lost it. And I'm ready for it again. It was some big hits, great emotions in that game. It was a very memorable game for me.
And it's interesting that you say that, because I do think it's one of these things where, high school, it's a 9-game season plus the postseason. It moves fast. You have to sort of grow up fast, and it's like the opportunity, having had the opportunity of playing in that game, makes you, I think, believe in yourself more, because you're not afraid of that. You know what it's been. We've gone through it. You knew what we were able to accomplish in that game, which really sets up, I think, this squad for success this year.
Yeah, definitely. At first you go in like, oh damn, they're pretty big. Those hits are gonna hurt, and you get that first hit, and you're like, okay, it's not that bad. I can do this, and you just go through the game, and it's like hit after hit. You just want to keep laying it on them so that you could hopefully get that championship, run out of there with that win.
All right, my man. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Great to see you, Damien. We'll see you on the field on Thursday.
For sure.
All right. All right. We got BG3 checking in. We got a smoke machine going on over there. It's kind of fun. Do you already go through that smoke machine?
Yeah, I did it like 10 minutes ago, I think.
All right.
Cool.
So let's make sure that the folks at home can see Barry Gordon III. So, Barry, you're going senior year. You've played all 4 years. Both coaches have mentioned you because you're contributing on both sides of the ball. Outside linebacker position, I remember, maybe I mentioned this last year, but I remember talking to your dad after the Taft game 2 years ago. And that was a tough game, right? And I said to him, I was like, hey, that kid, Krupa, that Barry's going against, he's playing at Truman now. He's a D2 guy. And your dad's like, oh, okay. They're like, no, your son is really good. You showed a bunch last year on the defensive side of the ball, your speed, your tenacity. You were making plays all over the place. Now coming into senior year, what are your expectations?
Man, just building off last year. Obviously, I didn't get to play the whole season. I had a couple injuries holding me back, but I was glad to get in at the kind of the tail end of the season when we were making our playoff run. And I was able to just do what I can on the defense side of the ball. Obviously, I'm trying to get in more on offense. I really only played like 2 games on offense, but
2 games, but a touchdown. And
that's true,
and so you were the starting, and we also said that you were starting tight end last year, then got dinged up after Hope.
Yeah.
So tight end position again this year.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to that. I love offense, and I'm excited to make some more catches, more plays, get some pancakes, just everything.
Well, and so and you mentioned that as like that's what Will DeMille was saying as well. I mean, it's the evolution of the offensive side will be fun to watch this year because I know what I heard from the coaches, but I also know that this team has the ability to sort of adapt on the fly.
For sure.
And there's a lot of diversity within that offensive set. So even a position like yours, you're going to be blocking, but you're not going to be blocking all the time because there's the ability to throw it downfield.
Yep.
I think there's also the ability, with the balance of running and passing attack that you can surprise opponents on some of those things as well, which is good for you tight ends because you get some of those tight end wheel routes and you want to be wide open on those things.
Yeah, I love those.
Yep, good. And so then let's jump back to defense, right? So again, I asked some of these guys like, looking back on your freshman year, playing in the JV season, then your progression through. How do you think about yourself as a freshman from now when you're a senior? And I said this cliche question. It's the last time I'm going to ask anybody this, but what would you tell BG3 as a freshman now that you're BG3 as a senior?
Oh man, just keep pushing, keep going. Obviously, our JV year, freshman year, wasn't the best. It was a lot of guys' first time playing football. I didn't play football. I did 1 year Pee Wee tackle football, and then just jumping right back into it. I wasn't really I wasn't really used to it. You know what I mean? It's been so long, but just sticking with the progression, keeping going to practices, just getting used to football as a whole. I'd say. Yeah, just keep grinding, keep working.
Yeah, and it was so your first year was the year after COVID, right? So there wasn't a JV season the year before, so all of the sophomores were in the same boat as you guys. Nobody had played, and so I remember that first game against Hope. But then I think that's also funny thinking about where you guys were in that game to then being in the city championship game last year. That's a crazy progression, awesome progression.
I know. It was just exciting to see that. Obviously, I'm glad I never, doubted myself, never quit on this team because look what happened last year. And obviously, I'm just trying to build up on that, trying to get a different result in the city championship, but making a deep playoff run.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff, man. All right, BG3, good to see you, man.
Good to see you
All right,
too.
we'll see you out there.
All right.
So what do you think?
Of what?
Gonna get you over here.
Oh, got you.
So a new number.
Yep, new number.
Tell me about it.
I was thinking, I guess my thing with 4 is because Tyson had it last year, and I guess playing Tyson was a big influence for me. I loved watching Tyson, and I was like when he got injured, I was the one who had to step up and take his spot. So I guess 4 is a homage to Tyson.
All right. So Aaron, we mentioned it earlier and we'll talk defense first. So a bunch of plays from that outside linebacker position. I remember the speed in a couple of those things. I remember a play specifically in Taft. So what are your expectations this year? I mean, it's and that's an awesome shout out to Tyson for that because he was a very physical, fast player, and I think we're going to see a lot of the same out of you this year.
Yeah, I guess my goal is to kind of match that. I think last year I feel like I was a little bit undersized maybe. So I've been trying to work on my weight. I think I put on 10, 15 pounds. And so I'm trying to get more into the physical aspect of that. I feel like I had the speed down, but now I'm trying to get a lot more physical with it. And so that's what I'm looking forward to this year, the physicality for sure.
All right. And then offense, you're going to tote the rock a little bit, right?
Maybe a little bit, third string running back. I may get in there a little bit or I don't know when, but
we'll have to push Max and Luke out of the way, and then I think maybe there are going to be some opportunities this year. I mean, I think we're going to be able to run the ball and control the ball because you had some tons of success as a JV running back. Right?
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, yep. So I was talking a lot of football with these other guys. You do a bunch of other stuff here at Whitney Young as well. I saw you on stage at graduation singing in the choir.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that. Tell us what it's like being for you as a Whitney Young student.
I do choir, football, and track. Those are my main 3. Sometimes it can be a lot, balancing time and all that with homework and all that. But I mean, I feel like it's just fun. Like I feel like I couldn't picture my high school years without doing all that. It just feels like it wouldn't be the same. Like having that extra stuff on your plate to like add to your high school experience and things you could like tell your kids and people around you. I'm really proud of being in choir, track, and football. I feel like it all adds to my character as a Whitney Young student.
Is it tough to switch gears between like choir and football?
You think so, but no, actually. I'd say I've actually like been able to take some things from choir kind of fun, like the breathing. Like when we do our breathing before practice is really similar to like breathing and singing. Like they teach you to breathe from the diaphragm. So that's one thing.
All right.
And then it's a lot of confidence in singing. Like you can't just like Miss J is always on us about like not being like real timid and everything. So I'd say if anything, stuff transfers.
So are you saying that choir brings your aggressiveness out on the football field?
I'd say yes, it does.
All right, I like it. There's a good endorsement. And then rolling into senior year as a student, we got to start doing some college stuff. Where are you on the progression of that?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm like really behind. I downloaded the Common app and that's about it. But I gotta get on that.
Yeah, get on that because DeMille, he's talking about like applying to like 13 schools already or something like
he's
that.
Already
So he's maybe ahead of the rest of these guys. So Aaron Champion, looking forward to seeing you in your senior year, both sides of the ball.
All right,
All right, man. All right, we got Solomon Bradley.
Hello, Mr. Neumann.
Good to see you, Solomon. Dude, you got a haircut.
I did get a haircut.
Is it recent?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's swing you around a little bit here. So we're gonna end up talking offense and defense with you, but I realize I've been talking for like an hour and I haven't mentioned special teams yet, which I need to. So last year, first team All-City punter kicker Solomon Bradley.
Yes.
How's that progressing? Because I know that you worked a lot on that, right?
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of practice in the off season. I've been working to get better this year. Yesterday we had punts in practice and then kicking in the actual scrimmage that we had, and I was getting them from about 35, but I missed the 45-yarder. So I'm just working to get better at that, improve my distance, and see where I can go from there.
All right. So I think last year perfect on extra points. And then if we missed a field goal, it was somebody else's fault. And then you do the punting as well, all conference there. I mean, hopefully we don't have to punt much, but I mean that's a key part of the game. And I think for Whitney Young football last year, and we'll at some point we'll talk to Ben Barrett here. Ben Barrett as our 4.5, 5.5, 6.5 star long snapper makes your job a little bit easier both punting and place kicking.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a really good player. He's probably, for his position, one of the best at his job, and it really helps when you have a good guy out there just long snapping in the position that you want it. We also have Vaughn, who doesn't get talked about enough. He's a very good placeholder, and that makes my job easier as a field goal kicker. So if we ever have to do it this year, we didn't take many field goals last year, but if we ever have to do it this year, it just makes my job a lot easier to have that consistency at the long snapping position and the place holding position.
All right, so defensively, Coach O.D. talked about your role in this defense, and you're in a defensive backfield where you're playing alongside Quinn Duhan, who's been out there for 13, 14 years. What are you looking for on the defensive side of the ball, and because you've played through like JV stuff, you didn't get a whole lot of defensive reps last year, but now you're in a starting spot.
Yeah, I think that I was able to make my place on the team, get up to the varsity spot because of how I was playing last year. I added physicality to that. I added intellect to the position, and I think that the coaches saw that, and so they added me to the team. But Quinn, who's actually on the team right now, he's one of the best at that, the intellect aspect, his ability to analyze the play, always know where we're at on defense, direct, sort of be like a field general at the defensive position. That really is something that, as you know, safeties really need to do, and I think that I can add to that as well. So having that combo at defense will be good for us this year.
Are you going to hit a guy as hard as you hit the dude on the kickoff return last year at some point this year?
That's what I'm hoping. I'm gonna try to add physicality to the position, and it's something that I know I can leverage to keep this team in contention when we need it. And we're going to try to minimize deep balls. I know that's something that has plagued us in the past, and if we can reduce that, if we can minimize that ability for other teams to get deep balls, we'll really do well this year, I think.
All right. And then on the offensive side of the ball, getting some tight end reps.
Yeah, getting some tight end reps. I'm second string to Barry. We also have Io in the third string position, so we have a lot of depth in the position, and I think that Barry's very solid there. But if the coaches need me at all, I know the plays. I've definitely worked on that. Tried to look at huddle and other resources to increase my knowledge of the tight end position, and I think that if they ever need me, I'll be there, and I'll do my best and give my effort.
All right, man. Well, we're looking forward to it. Salo, good to see you, man.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Luke Jolich.
What's up, Mr. Neumann?
Luke, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you, Mr. Neumann?
I'm doing very well. Are we good? We're in frame here. We have talked a lot about this team this year. Talked about captains, right? So one of the captains, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So congrats on that.
Thank you.
You've played 4 years with this program. Offensive. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. So last year, you got the ball a bunch. I think you averaged 5 yards carry. I had the stats around here somewhere. I think you had between 60, 70 yards, like three different times, and we were able to run effectively.
Oh yeah.
This year we got a bunch of returners on the offensive line. What are you looking forward to when you're running the ball?
Just seeing the guys, seeing the line up field, because I know they can make it to that second level. Us beating the lead line and then linemen just get into the linebackers, DBs, making it easier for the running backs. We don't really have to work that hard. Just got to make our cuts, run hard. But, I mean, line is exactly the same. I mean, we're missing Baba, of course, but
don't forget Jason. He'll get mad.
Jason too, but I don't think Jason. He doesn't really claim the line like that.
Well, that's true. He wants to be a tight end.
Exactly.
I mean, he's a tight end
exactly.
by heart, right?
So, but I mean, it's gonna be great running behind those guys, and then also we got Max too, Aaron. So, great running backs, better linemen. So.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
DeMille is talking like screen passes. Can we get you a screen pass?
I mean, it worked in the past. I mean, against Kenwood, Clark. So we're going to see one of those. Hopefully, there's no illegal men downfield. Because we get a lot of those, or holdings.
Yeah, okay. All right. Now you're
knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Guys.
Knock on wood.
You're throwing our guys on the bus. All right. So defensive side, you played safety. Safety as a sophomore got hurt last year, started first game at safety. Then when Joe Gray got hurt, you moved into that linebacker position, and then between you and Clayton, you guys just dominated on the field. Tell us about are you a safety at heart, or are you a linebacker at heart?
Well, when we're running one-on-ones, I want to claim the safety spot, but I mean linebackers, it's exactly like running back, just on defense. So I mean, a lot of action. Don't got to really worry about the pass that much. I mean, I'm almost in every play. So even though I love to say I'm a safety, it's fun being a linebacker. So,
yeah. And so now you don't have Clayton there like hogging all those tackles.
Right.
Is it going to be and I think like a position change for you a little bit, like minor. Like you're still in the middle.
So I'm still in the middle. It's just I'm on like the strong side of the field. So more field to work with. I got to be more patient. Because on the weak side, they're kind of the ones that are downhill more, and it forces the ball carriers to come to the mic, which is my position. And I wasn't playing that last year. So it's definitely kind of a small change, but I gotten used to it because when Joe Clayton was out on that Kenwood game, I got moved to Mike, and then Joe Gray came in. And Joe Gray, wonderful kid. I mean, awesome ball player. He could play anywhere because he was at cornerback and now he's at linebacker. Yeah. So it kind of reminds me of me a little. So, I mean, we're gonna do some great things back there, and I'm excited to see how it goes.
Awesome. All right. I got to talk to you about baseball.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Of course.
so give us an update, like how the summer's going and how you're progressing as a baseball player.
Summer went well. Summer went really well, actually. Reached out to a few small D3 schools, kind of like in the Midwest. So it's looking good for recruiting at least. Still got to finish my college applications and see how
Okay,
that
I've been
goes,
asking
so.
guys this, right? So some people are on the ball, some
Right,
people are still
right.
working on it a little
I'm definitely still working on it. So,
All right.
I mean, I definitely fell behind, but, I mean, just got to lock in. You know, my dad's going to help me a lot, so.
bit. He's going to
hopefully-
help you.
Well,
He's going to make sure you
yeah,
get it
exactly,
done.
exactly. So, but hopefully I get that done by at latest September. So, but, I mean, going back to baseball, everything's been well. I mean, I'm blessed to have coaches reaching out and went on a few visits and everything. So, yeah.
It's early, but what about Whitney Young baseball? You'll be a senior. Will Carter, who played,
Oh, yeah.
who played with the football team as a freshman, but is lights out. Will's well in the 90s,
Oh, yeah.
throwing right now. I saw some social media stuff. So you got a good core.
For sure.
Same thing as football. You're always graduating these seniors that have been a key part of the team. But what are your expectations on the baseball side?
I mean, baseball, not a lot of big guys left. I mean, Cole Hockman, our third baseman, probably the biggest senior that left. But like I'm saying, the guys coming in, the seniors here, they've been leaders since freshman, sophomore years because they've been on varsity since we were freshmen.
Yeah.
So they're kind of used to that, taking leadership and taking like a bigger role on the team. So I'm excited. I mean, we got Will, we got Kingsley, Logan, we got a lot of juniors stepping up, a lot of seniors. So it's going to be a great year. Taki too, can't forget him. Tristan,
Yeah.
so.
All right. Okay. Well, good. So let's take care of football city championship first,
Yeah, for sure.
and then we'll go down to Sox Park and we'll watch a city championship in the spring.
Can't wait for that to happen.
All right, my man. Well,
yeah.
great to see you, Luke.
Thank you, everything, Mr.
All right.
Neumann. Thank you.
Congrats on the captainship.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Deserve it. Happy to see you on the field this year.
You too, Mr. Neumann. Thank you.
All right. Here we go. Yeah. I got Andrew Latham. So I'm going to have to reintroduce you to Dolphin Nation, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
come on over here.
Yes, sir.
Andrew Latham, who I still remember we got brought up with Barry Gordon, that first JV game against Hope, which was 3 years ago, right? 3 years ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. So Andrew gets on the field, and we're kind of getting run over by those guys.
We were getting clobbered.
Yeah, we're
It was
getting
a rough
clobbered.
game.
But then was it was either they were going in for a touchdown or maybe it was like a 2-point conversion where you just
Oh, yeah, they were going in for a 2-point. I got their
a guy.
quarterback on
You
the sideline.
stuck a guy. And I remember you coming off the field with just pure joy in your face. And I also knew at the same time you'd never play another JV game, so you got moved up to varsity and played special teams there. And now you're back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Happy to be back, too.
Yep. So give us the progression and what it feels like to be back in pads, in football pads, because I know you got the lacrosse pads. But tell us what it's been like.
So freshman year, obviously I played. Came in sophomore year playing to play the full year. Then I tore my hand, so I was out for 3-ish months, missed some lacrosse. And then last year I was doing a bunch of recruiting stuff. And then, I don't know, it was October of last year, and I'm sitting there watching football games. I went, dang, I want to hit somebody. So the second it rolled around this summer, I got right back into it, and I've loved it ever since. Just that feeling that you have on the field, there's nothing like it.
All right. And so you have a long history with Quinn Duhan.
Yes, sir.
All right, so you guys went to grade school together?
Yes, sir. Preschool, grade school, all the way up to now.
All right. So, and Quinn is not here today, right?
Sadly
I
not.
gather. So, Quinn, shout out to you, to your family. Just sick. He just mildly sick, and we'll be back for game one.
He'll be back soon.
But tell us about that too. I mean, you're because you're playing defensive back. You're in the mix back there with guys like Quinn, with Salo, with Maxwell Warner at corner. Is that where? And I could tell maybe from what you said before. I'm just lobbing this up. You got the mentality of a defensive player, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For sure. I mean, those guys are awesome. Very supportive group, very good group. And then obviously Quinn has been one of my best friends my entire life. So playing alongside him is awesome. And that's what I did freshman year. Doing it again feels amazing. It's a great group. It really makes you want to play hard and make plays out there.
Yeah. Should we make a shout out to Will Carter and say, hey, Will, it's not too late, man.
Will,
it's not
what are you
too
doing,
late.
man? Come on
What
now.
are you doing, baseball player? Get back out of here on the field. But it was great to see because all three of you guys contributed a lot as freshmen, both special teams and some other action there. you've been a very successful lacrosse player. Tell me about some of the lacrosse skills and how that translates on the football field.
So I play defense in lacrosse too, and it's pretty much all shoulder to chest contact. You can't wrap up like football. So my natural way that I want to hit, I kind of got from lacrosse, and the footwork's all the same for defense, breaking down, following guys, all that stuff. So it works a lot of the same stuff, but I would say football has helped me. Football helped me as a freshman become a better lacrosse player, made me more aggressive, improved my footwork and all that stuff, my tracking ability. So it kind of goes hand in hand, builds off of each other.
All right. Well, exciting stuff. What are your expectations for the year?
City championship, of course. I haven't been here in a while, but this is a very good team, so I think we will go very far. I don't know about state because I have no clue who we play in state.
Yeah, that's always we just leave that on the side. I
Exactly.
mean, and you're right. I mean, you get a good draw. We could go. Coach Finger said as well. I mean, we just have to be realistic. I mean, there are some programs out there, especially as a big school, especially as a 7A school, some of the Catholic League schools, other things like that. But I think, yeah, we want to get there and we want to get some things done at that level.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yep. So good, and I've been pressuring some of these other guys as well about where they are on their college application process. How's it going in the Latham family right now? You getting some pressure?
Yes, sir. So I have my personal essay done, which is huge. Yeah, I grinded that out with my dad, who's a huge help. And then I pretty much just need to turn in my test scores and then teacher recommendation letters, and then obviously get started on the college essays. So I got a long way to go. But
yeah, but still, that's a good start. That's
Yes,
a very
sir.
good start. All right. Well, very good.
Yes, sir.
Great to see you, Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Neumann.
Yeah, welcome back to the team, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Great
you, sir.
having
Happy
you
to
here
be
for
back.
this year. All right. Brandon Dockett joining us. This guy is like a walking kickoff. Come this way a little bit. Walking kickoff return machine. Like, seriously, every time the ball comes to you on kickoff returns since your very first game or second game, you've been doing it.
Yep.
We're going to get you back there this year?
I hope so. I'm excited to showcase it. Last year, I wasn't kick returning technically, but I still had some decent returns, decent yards. Excited to get back there and score some, take some back this year.
Yeah, I see that too, and there have been, like, because you've been in the up line, but anytime that ball is coming to you, I mean, a lot of guys when they get the ball up there, they're like, what am I going to do? I'm just going to fall down. It's like, no, it's coming to Brandon Dockett.
Yes,
It's there's going to be some pressure put on. So tell us some of the other things. So defensive backfield stuff. Where are you going to fit in on that?
Right now we have a lot of defensive backs this year, especially at the corner position. So I think there's going to be a lot of movement back there, a lot of rotation with we got me, we got Brandon Barzima, we have of course Maxwell Warner back there. What else plays corner? There's so many. I'm forgetting names, but
and that's what Coach OD was saying. Is like you guys there's depth back there, a lot of athleticism for you guys, and so good opportunities.
Yes, sir. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities for us to make plays, fly around, just have trust in one another. Just because we have so much depth, like even the younger guys can go out there and make plays. So I'm excited to see what we can do.
All right, and then offensive side, getting some receiver reps.
Yes, sir. Right now it's looking like me and Quinn at F. There might be, I think Chase and Raytang are both in that rotation too. So there's a lot of speed with that group. A lot of a lot of agility with that group. I'm excited. Playing in the slot, I think it's my favorite in playing outside just because it's to move around in motion a lot. We have a lot of different motions and things, put us inside, outside, just move around, a lot of fun things like that.
And you talked about it, so, and I almost feel like, although I've been talking for like an hour or more here, what are and Anthony Hood was quite frankly the greatest wide receiver in Whitney Young history. What's it like? What did you learn from watching a guy like Anthony on the field? And I think some of it's the adjustment. How do you adjust to not having an Anthony Hood in the lineup this year?
I think, one way we adjust with that is just having depth. Just so many guys that can play at a high level without, like, like just being able to swap through guys, like when certain guys get tired, having to swap through and just having somebody just as good or better than them come in, and it's like we don't miss a beat with the offense just with having so many guys we can rotate through. And learning from him, it was crazy. I mean, I remember freshman year I walked in and they were making plays for him. I'm like, is this a senior? He was a sophomore. I was like, oh shoot, like this is somebody I need to keep my eye on, follow his lead, things like that. Yeah.
All right, well, good. And I've been asking all the rest of these guys senior year, what are you looking forward to as a Whitney Young student, and how are the college plans? How's that part of it going?
I wouldn't say I'm nervous at all. I'm just like, I'm excited, really. Just trying to get past the whole application process, finish these supplemental essays. But I'm really trying to go to my dream school, which is USC in Southern California.
All right.
It's been a dream of mine since, I want to say I was like 9 or 10. So,
and we've got a Whitney Young Dolphin there in Malik Amos.
So
Malik Amos, Coach mentioned it earlier. He's a walk-on on the USC football team.
Yep. So that's just been a big thing I've been working towards, trying to get all those things in order. But yeah, I'm excited for senior year, college apps. Yep.
All right, my man, Brandon. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, we'll see you out on the field on Thursday.
Thank you.
All right. I think you got running anchor leg. We got the anchor leg. I think we got the anchor leg. Tony keeps telling me to move over. Tony, I'm getting you in. Okay, how far? Ben, come on over. All right, so Ben, how many stars are next to your name now as a long snapper? 5, 6, 7? I mean,
we're 4.5 right now.
4.5. All right.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like when Salo came up, I said I hadn't talked about special teams with any of the coaches, and it was an oversight on my part because in looking back at last year's season and the contribution that was made offensively was real interesting because it was a passing team, became a running team. Defensively, it was a new system, and it was 4 shutouts that were brought in. It was a bunch of different players competing and contributing. And then on the special team side, the thing that I always talked about was just when you compared Whitney Young, especially in the Chicago Public League, with all of the other special teams units, we were just so far above everybody else. And a lot of that starts right with you, right? Because that clean operation, be it a punt, be it a place kick, is the most important thing. And most schools can't do that because it's tough. How have you gotten to be as good as you are?
Well, first off, Salo's really good. He can make it from 50. He could punt 45 yards. That's one of the reasons why we have such a good special teams crew. I just snapped the ball at a wall for 2 years straight. That's all I did. Sadly that ball popped, but makes sense. Now I got another one. But
so
yeah.
was this in your house in the basement or
this
something?
This is at my elementary school.
Okay.
8th grade or freshman year of high school. They painted like targets on it. I don't know what it was for or anything. They were like archery targets on the wall. I don't know why. I took advantage of them, used the bullseye to be the bullseye for the ball, and that's kind of what I've been doing for the past 2 years.
So from a technique standpoint, there's a lot more that goes into it. And you've done camps and you've done other things like that. Not that we want to necessarily put on a clinic here,
yes,
but there's more to it than just, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like and if anybody saw me on the golf course this morning, you'd know that I cannot repeat my golf swing. I mean, it's you have to be repeatable.
Yeah. You mentioned golf. Golf is a very mental game. So is, I think, all special teams, especially snapping, because I have one job, and if I mess up, then the game could go a completely different way. Bad punt snap, bad field goal snap, we might lose the game by 1. We had one of those sophomore year where we lost the game by 1 or 2. But yeah, special teams is really important. And what was the rest of the question? I'm sorry.
I was just, it's like, how is it, there's technique to it, right? I mean, it's like.
You just, like I said, practice against something. Like I practice against a wall. I got so used to my stance that it's like second nature to me. I don't really know how to describe it, but like just repeating stuff, like even in anything that's very mental, just repeat it over and over again, and then it becomes second nature.
All right. So the other thing I want to say is, like, and you've had my 2 favorite answers as people come off the field after practices and Coach Finger has a question of the day. Do you remember what my 2 favorite ones are?
I think I know one. I think one of them was favorite song.
Yeah, favorite song, which is
Renegade by
Renegade by Styx.
Huge Steelers
Old
fan.
school.
That's why.
Yes. That's
So fun.
great. So much fun. And then your other one was, I think it was, what would be the first thing you would do if you got can't remember, was $1 million or $1 billion or something like that?
I don't remember answering this.
Okay,
I'm
right.
worried what this
so
is.
no, because everybody else is coming off the field, and some guys had great answers. Like I remember Jason Perez, he was going to take his family on a vacation to the Dominican Republic, and there's all the other. And you said, I guess I'd get a financial advisor.
Oh, I said that?
Yeah.
I don't remember saying that.
Yep. No. So
yeah, that's probably the smart choice.
Yep, absolutely. So the Barrett family. Well, and now that I mentioned Barrett family, I do want to. I had forgotten. I wanted to bring this up. You got a brother.
Oh yeah,
who's
he's
playing
going to Lane.
high school football. Who's going to Lane? How do we let that happen?
I don't know. But I know he's playing right now. They're playing the week 0 scrimmage, I believe. So good luck to him. He's told me he's gotten like 4 pick sixes in practice, and he's kind of shown it too. But yeah, I'm okay with it because it's close to my house. But ideally, I can't cheer for him in anything. I'm not going to be cheering for him in football for the next 4 years, however long it is.
That's fine. I mean, I think it's it's interesting. Are there games, and probably in the Barrett family, that Lane game is scheduled, is circled already on the refrigerator?
Yeah,
Are there specific games that you're looking forward to?
I mean, I'm looking forward to Lane. I think that's going to be so much fun. I remember freshman year we did that. I didn't even play a snap, but the atmosphere was just incredible.
Yes. Yep.
We got to walk out on like what's it called when the people spin the flags around and all that. That was
it was Friday
I loved
Night Lights,
yeah.
man. It was Friday Night Lights. It was awesome. Like you could it took me a quarter to even get in.
Yeah.
Because of all the people that were there. So I'm sure that we'll have that type of environment up there again.
And then the next year, sophomore year, I mean, they put us at 10 a.m. game at WinMac. That was not as fun. We lost too, but it wasn't as fun because 10 a.m. football, not ideal.
Yep. I remember that game as well. Okay. Well, Ben, it is great to have you rolling into senior year. Last question is your expectations as a Whitney Young senior and where you are in the college path right now.
Oof. Okay. My expectations, senior year, I just want to have fun. That's all. Like, I would say I've spent a ton of time in the years past, like, making sure, like, I get good grades, all that. Grades are all that matter, and football also. But this year I kind of want to, I still want to get good grades and all that. But it's just, like, I want to have, like, time to myself, and, like, I want to be able to just enjoy senior year, enjoy most likely my last year in Chicago.
Yep.
And college-wise, I'm really interested in liberal arts, psychology, history, criminal justice, criminology, all that stuff. I think being like a history professor would be amazing. Right now, what I want to do is I want to be a detective. So the FBI is watching or anything, please.
I think all of our stuff gets watched by the FBI, CIA, and DEA. I think they're all over us.
Yeah. But that's why I feel like that'd be fun. Just, it's like puzzles. I love puzzles. And to football, the puzzle piece I'm the specialist. And I think I'm one of those unique ones. Like, if you miss that puzzle, if you miss that puzzle piece, you can't replace it. That's discontinued.
That's beautiful.
But I'm excited for my last year here. I'm super pumped for the football season, and I want to have my best year at Whitney Young.
All right. Ben, that's a great way to end it, man.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ben Barrett. Tony, I'm going to ask you to jump in.
These things are really loud, by the way. Like,
yeah, it's kind of fun, isn't it?
Yeah,
you can kind of get addicted. If you get one of these things at home, you can just, like, put them on, and this is what I do. All right. Thank you, my man.
Oh, I get all the sweaty ones.
Oh, yeah, well. So,
what's up, bud?
Good to see you.
You made it, man. That's hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I told you we would do it in under 2.
And we stayed online, too. So
yeah.
Great.
So you were listening to a bunch of the stuff. We talked a lot about last year, a lot about the graduating seniors. You've seen this program. You've been around it longer than I have, right? So your son, Pat, graduated
2 years ago.
2 years ago? Seems like longer.
Yeah,
It was only
just two.
Just
He's only 2 years older than Bennett.
Oh, that's right. But you were there for a COVID year where we went 3-0. You were there for a year where we had got to state and city, got a win against Brooks, lost against Simeon. Then had a tough year in there where we only really had Alex Dale as a returning starter. And then last year, team that went through a challenging first couple weeks, but knowing those guys and thinking back now, it's a lot of those guys were telling me like, oh no, we're going to be fine. We're going to run the table. And I was like, oh, okay, good to have that kind of confidence. But we were able to exercise some demons against Taft, exercise some demons against Simeon. What's your thought? I mean, not knowing what we have there, but just even the progression of this program.
Well, I think one of the great things that Coach Finger's done, except for that one strange year, is he does a great job getting freshmen into this program. If you can get 25 or 30 freshmen in as freshmen, you're going to get 10 starters out by the time they're seniors. The other thing he's done a great job at is going to other sports and finding athletes that want to come play football. And it started with Tyson Leito, who's now a basketball player at Tampa University or University of Tampa, and just gone through some of the guys you've talked about today. He lost Will Clark, but who needs a guy that can throw the ball 90 miles an hour? Yeah. But those two things, getting freshmen into the program. So if you come into the year every year with 60 guys, that's you're ahead of the game. Even compared to some of the suburban schools, right? And then you go out and find athletes who are just, can become good football players. That puts you in a great shape. And I think that's what you saw last year. And the start of last year kind of goes back to the start of Pat's sophomore year. That year they opened up with Peyton, who was super good, and Kenwood, who were both 8-0 before the work stoppage. And then last year you had Hope, who went all the way to the state semifinals. And you had Morgan Park, who went to the state quarterfinals. That's just a tough start. So on paper, a little bit easier start this year. I think the IHSA did a great job with the week 0 scrimmage. It's something they do in Indiana. They've done in Indiana for a long time. But it lets you play against somebody else, right? When you're playing against the same guys for 4 weeks, I don't know that you get any better, right? And especially at the high school level in the city of Chicago, because – you have so many guys who go two ways. So you're not playing as fast as you can. So having a live action controlled scrimmage was a great decision by the IHSA.
Yeah, I think great decision there. I think what the Chicago Public League has done to continue, it's sort of like it's like English League soccer. I mean, they relegated a couple teams, brought a couple teams up. But I also feel like, and some of it's the team, it's the programs, right? So Peyton has had a very strong white level program.
Right.
Now they're up at the red level. I think they have good numbers. They have something there. Lincoln Park has rebuilt quickly
their program,
a program. I think those are going to be fun schools for us to play.
I mean, Amundsen's another school that over the last 3 years has done so much to build that program. I mean, 4 years ago they were in the white. They weren't very successful. They brought in some new coaching, and he's taken them all the way to the state playoffs in 3 years. So shout out to Amundsen, and I think that's going to be a great game. The back half of our schedule this year is loaded, right?
Yeah.
That's the difference between the last year and this year. But what you hope is these first couple games that we have enough talent to overcome the mistakes that we're going to make as you get into the real football season. So by the time you get to Lane, Taft, Amundsen and Westinghouse to end the season, that you're not making those mistakes anymore, and you're playing your best football. You're getting ready to go into the state playoffs. You're going to go into the city playoffs, and you see another run to the last, the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well,
and maybe beyond. I don't want to I don't want to stop the roll the weekend before Thanksgiving. We can go all the way to that Friday after.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot to be said there, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. There's a lot. I mean, again, there's a lot of talent in the Chicago Public League. A lot of it here, but a lot of it at those other schools as well. I think that there's going to be, and you never know. I mean, it's amazing what these coaches have to do in reinventing programs year after year.
And you got some big changes. So Coach Turner, who was at Kenwood and just built that program up in 7 years, is now back at his alma mater.
At Simeon.
And he's walking into a team that's loaded with talent. Just had, a little bit of an off year last year. Still made it to the round of 8 in the city playoffs. And then the name escapes me, but Kenwood got a coach from Mount Carmel.
Right. They got the assistant from Mount Carmel.
Right. So there's no downgrade there, and they still have all the talent in the world. So, I mean, you're looking at where Whitney Young is trying to get is you have Morgan Park, Simeon, and Kenwood right now are the elite 3 teams in the public league, and then you have Phillips, who is always a great football
and another
team.
Coaching change. So
right.
We'll see
always a great
program
team,
develops.
and that's and I think over the last 3 years, that's where Coach Finger's gotten this program. Yep. Right in his 6th year. He's got the talent. Just walking around today, you could tell that these kids spend a lot of time in the weight room. There are some big kids out here that you just didn't see 3 or 4 years ago. So the trajectory is great. I'm excited about this season. I did the math the other day. It'll be 284 days since we were in Lane Stadium for Kenwood. Right. So I'm excited to see what they do. Corliss now is a co-op program with whatever. I had it in my head and then it went out. But they're a co-op program. They went 5-5 last year. They're going to come out and they're going to want to knock Whitney Young off. It would be the win of their season. They're in red white. They're in the white division. They made the state playoffs last year, so they're going to look to do that again. So it's going to be a tough contest.
Yeah. There are 6 teams that we play that were state qualifiers last year, right? So, but I mean, also a feel where it's like, as Coach Finger said, I mean, we're going to be in every single one of those games. I think that offensive/defensive line gives me is going to let me sleep well on Thursday nights and Friday nights, knowing that
and Von's parents will sleep well too.
They should sleep. They should sleep better,
right?
As well as a quarterback family, you never really sleep that well.
but I'll start the campaign, right? So there's really three awards at the end of the season for kids who play at Whitney Young. There's all city, or there's all CPR, all Chicago Public League, all city, and all area, right? And I'll start the campaigns right now for a couple of these kids for all area. I mean, you look at Nick. That kid was born to play offensive line, and I remember when he walked on the first day, Alec May just kept making fun of him because he was so small. Marcus Woods, all area. I mean, you're going to have some kids who there's some amazing talent in the northern part of Illinois, and it's going to be tough. But I'll put those 3 or 4 linemen up against anybody in the state.
Yeah, and it was fun. I hope all of you had fun today.
We had like 77 different people.
Wow, and it's great.
Slow Saturday.
And a guy like Nick is just like you said. I mean, he is. I don't know if anybody ever called him small before. So Alex, if you call him small,
well, I mean, he's a freshman, so therefore,
right. But smart kid. When he is nasty on the field until the whistle blows, and then he's helping the guy up and
I'll knock you down and then help you up.
Great guys.
That's the big thing, right? So you talk about this senior class because of that miss in the 2025 senior class where it was only Alec. A lot of these kids have played at least 3 years, if not. I mean, Luke was on the field as a freshman. Yeah. So they have lots of experience. They know what they're going to do. And one of the things, and you talked to Luke about it, there's a lot of flexibility with some of these kids. Do you have to play safety? Do you have to play linebacker? Can you play defensive end? Can you move inside? Can you play guard? Can you play tackle? So, injuries are going to happen. You're going to come up against different game plans. I think Coach Finger and the two, coordinators have the flexibility with, to Ben's point, the puzzle pieces to move some stuff around and not get anything lost. So, that's what's most exciting to me is you're not locked into, hey, these 5 guys, because you got 7 offensive linemen. You got 5 defensive linemen. You got 6 linebackers. And that's going to make a difference when you go up against the Kenwoods and the Tafts and the Amundsons this year. It's going to be tough. And when you get in you know, the biggest challenge, you know, and part of the realignment is how does Whitney Young and how do the public league schools make that jump in the state playoffs so they can start winning football games, right? So it's not one and out, and we don't lose another football game 38-0.
Yeah, exactly. And that will be the progression, right? And I think that Chicago Public League making sure the teams, the Morgan Parks, Kenwoods, Phillips, Simeon, they're all playing each other, right? They're all on each other's schedule. Iron sharpens iron. We're going to do the same against the Tafts, Lanes, Amundsen's, and you mix in a Kenwood, and so it'll be a lot of fun. Tony's going to be leading the charge on Thursday.
I thought about something tonight. I mean, you sent me a lot of great information. I need a full list of nicknames, please. So we don't go a game without
I just
Will
make
the Thrill
these things up, but
as you go, just what rhymes with Will? Okay, the Thrill, we got it. I mean, but the Akron Rocket doesn't rhyme with Quinn. I mean, that's
no. Well, that's that. There's a bunch of things, and so
right,
and again, we said that Quinn was. We mentioned him a bunch. He's sick, but he'll be back next week. You got that's Mach 5.
Right. Oh, there
Mach
you go. Mach
5. That was Scott Clayton. We're gonna have to get Scott on a call at some point this year. Everybody would miss his some
excitement, right? We need the excitement that
the riz that Scott Clayton brought. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thanks for getting us on air, Tony.
Preseason for everybody.
Thursday, and then the schedule starts from there. So thanks again, everybody. Go Dolphins.
Go Dolphins.